I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC Vegas 94, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers of the event. And apologies for getting this out late. I literally came after my golf game to do this. I hate getting content up late. I just didn't have time. I had an early tea time this morning. But the thumbnail always gives it away, like I say every week. And so our biggest stock riser on this card has got to be Virna Jandiroba. Now, look, I know a lot of people are going to go Hyder Emil as their biggest stock boost, but the fact that Virna went in there, and I know she was the favorite, slight favorite, minus 130, but for her to go in there and finish Amanda Lemos, that puts her in title contention. Again, there's no one that's going to have a bigger opportunity after this card than Virna is, just because of the fact she was the main event. Like I said, odds were pretty even, and to go in there and finish Amanda Lemos. Remember Lemos fighting Weili Zhang. Zhang couldn't finish her. I think the only girl, at least recently, that I remember to my knowledge was Jessica Andrade finishing Lemos. So again, Jandiroba getting this win. Very good performance from her, and kind of a dark horse in the weight class. Like, you know, we didn't think a ton of her, I think, earlier in her career, but now she's racked off some really good wins, and to finish Lemos in the main event and to get that submission victory, very, very, very impressive here. Again, so Virna, I don't think she'll get the next title shot because I think they're probably going to give that to Tatiana Suarez, although you don't know. They haven't even booked that fight yet, so maybe Virna could sneak in there. But I think if you're talking about anyone off this card, Virna had the most significant stock rise in my opinion, and like I said, the fact that she's in title contention now has to put her in my number one spot. Now, I don't have an issue if you want to go with style over significance. I went significance. Hyder Emil, I mean, you know when you're playing like a fighting game, like Super Smash Brothers or something like that, and you get that like, special move or the turbo mode. That's what Hyder Emil looked like in this fight. I could not believe how many shots he was landing on Young Lee in this fight. And, credit to Lee. He's got a chin on him. I think a lot of other fighters would have gone down a lot sooner, but Hyder Emil coming in as an underdog, getting the win here. He was the talk of the town last night. I saw this clip all over social media. This was a big win. This is the type of performance you need from a relative newcomer in the UFC. That's what's going to get people's attention, putting on performances like this. Hyder Emil won a ton of fans last night. I'd have to go look at like MMA Games or one of these accounts, but I guarantee you Hyder got a ton of followers and social media presence from that victory last night. Again, as far as the implications of the division, not a ton there. But just because, again, I think he's probably a win or two away from getting a ranked opponent. But this is very encouraging and very good, and this is the exact type of stuff the UFC wants. So Hyder Emil, again, I don't have an issue if people want to put him in their number one spot. I just went with the fact that Virna's probably going to be in title contention. Hyder Emil, not even close to, I think, getting a ranked opponent at this point. He might, but again, this was more a style pick there if you're going to go with Hyder Emil. And then the last one we got to talk about as far as, stock rise. How about in the co-main event? Because obviously the Tavares and Park fight was off. Steve Garcia getting another knockout. This is a guy that we got to start looking, has some serious dynamite in his hands. He's not like a really outgoing guy, but look at this, finishes in his last 4 fights. And I know the competition's not amazing here, but the fact that he's going out there and getting it done, this is a guy who I think needs a ranked opponent at this point. He just keeps dismantling everyone that's put in front of him. Really good guy here, Steve Garcia. Nice to see him get his footing here, right, in the division. Like, he's got 4 straight wins, had that one loss to Machete, and then lost to Luis Pena in his debut a number of years ago. But since then, he's been on quite the roll. Won what here? 6 of his last 7, right? Or 5 of his last 6. My math's never good. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not a math teacher. So yeah, Steve Garcia getting it done. He definitely has to get a mention here as a big stock riser. Now let's go to some honorable mentions. There's plenty. And again, this is where I want to hear from you guys in the comments. You let me know where you're placing. So we do our top 3 and then I do some honorable mentions. How about Doo Ho Choi? I did not see this coming. Doo Ho Choi, we know the story with him. Obviously, very exciting fighter. Has not fought a ton just because of the military service and a variety of other things. He's fought sort of the who's who in the weight class already. If you look at his, fighting, everyone remembers the Cub Swanson fight from 2016, but he's had some setbacks, right? He's had some tough losses, fought some good opposition, coming off the draw to Kyle Nelson. And then to finish Bill Algeo, I don't think Bill's been finished in the UFC, or if he has, it's been very few and far between. Oh yeah, Kyle Nelson finished him, I guess, the fight before that. But if you look at it overall, he's a pretty durable guy. So to go out there and finish him, very, very, very good, win there for Doo Ho Choi. I love the banter after, not the banter, but I love the camera shots of the Korean Zombie after the fact. You just see how proud he was of Choi. Choi mentioning, how he had to overcome a lot of adversity to get this win. Choi's got to get an honorable mention here. Really big win for him. Like, is he going to go on a title run or something? No, but just good to see him get his due. It's been a rough last couple of years. So got to mention Doo Ho Choi. How about Bruno Silva knocking out Cody Durden? That was a big win in the weight class as well. I think the odds on that were fairly even going in. So you got to give Silva his flowers to finish. I know Durden's been submitted before, but to actually knock him out. When was the last time Durden was knocked out? And again, I might be wrong about this. Maybe it was pretty recent, but yeah, he has not been knocked out. Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's an even better victory. Again, first knockout loss of Durden's career comes at the hands of Bruno Silva. That's a big win too. Who else do we got? Other honorable mentions. Cody Gibson, only because, got to mention him. He finishes Brian Kelleher. And, that was sort of expected him to win this fight. The odds favored him, but he probably saved his job, right? I mean, it's been a tough go since coming back to the UFC to finish Brian Kelleher. That's probably going to get him another contract. So that's got to mention Cody as well. And then also got to mention Luana Carolina getting the upset over Pudilova. Just have to bring this up because she was like actually, no, sorry. She ended up closing as the favorite. Sorry. For some reason, I thought she was the underdog going in. I feel like Pudilova was the favorite though going in. Was I wrong about that? Maybe people put some money on there. But again, I thought she put on a good performance over Pudilova, who, was a tough outing for anyone. Really liked her performance. She's got to get some mentions in there as well, as does Trey Ogden, who now has another win, getting it done on the prelims as well. So those are just some honorable mentions. All right, let's get to the biggest stock droppers. Now, before I give you my top stock dropper, and you know who it is because of the thumbnail, I don't think there was a ton of stock going in, but Muhammad Usman just had a really bad performance on Saturday. I don't think I'm alone here in saying this, and I'm not trying to bash anyone or, talk badly about Usman, but you look at the, the success that he had, a couple fights ago, 3 straight wins, loses to Mick Parkin. Okay, well, Mick Parkin's a pretty good fighter in that weight class. Thomas Peterson really isn't. Now, I think more of this has to speak with Peterson really leveling up in this fight, but I just don't think it was a good performance from Usman at all. And again, this is not a very strong card, so it's hard to kind of pick stock droppers, but I just think Usman, I saw a lot of fans upset with his performance. I don't know if it was people betting him or whatever, but to me, I heard everyone talking about him, and I kind of agree. It was not a great performance from him. So Usman to me was the biggest stock dropper. Another one we got to mention here as far as the stock dropper is Bill Algeo. I saw a lot of people picking him. I picked him myself. Again, my almost a 2-1 favorite here. He ends up getting finished here. Not a good look now. Algeo's been finished in back-to-back fights. And then another stock dropper here we got to mention as well is Pudilova. Like I mentioned, she was a slight underdog going into this fight, but you look at, now she's lost 3 in a row. There was a point where she was, again, looking decent, but she's another one that I got to bring up as well. So yeah, as far as our top 3, we'll go Usman, we'll go Algeo. Kelleher was an underdog, Barbosa was an underdog. It was kind of hard to pick this week as far as you could go Kanan. Kanan could be another one as well if you want to go with that, just because he was I know he was the betting favorite in this fight, and Kurt Hallbaugh, the vet, gets it done. So he takes care of business. I suppose you could go Amanda Lemos as well, but again, she was the underdog here, so wasn't really expected to win. So kind of what I'm getting at, a little bit harder to pick some of these, names on this card. Not a ton of name value here, but again, just to recap, I'm going Verna, Hyder Emil, and Steve Garcia as my biggest stock risers. Honorable mentions going to Doohu Choi, Bruno Silva, Cody Gibson, Luana Carolina, and Trey Ogden. And then obviously the stock droppers were Muhammad Usman, Pudilova, Algeo. You could also put Amanda Lemos as an honorable mention as well, though again, she's, we've seen that I think at this point she's not really a contender just because she can't seem to win these big fights. So those are some ones that I wanted to mention here for my stock report. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What were your top 3 stock risers? What were your top 3 stock droppers? Would love to hear from you in the comments. Just let me know your top 3 and, on either side. You don't have to argue with my picks. I just want to hear your picks. It's easy if we just do it that way as opposed to nitpicking at my picks. I know people love to do that, but it's a better discussion if we can just argue our top 3 and your top 3. So let's do that. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Lynch on Sports. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.